Yeah, so in the current age, I feel like the political debate stems around nationalism and globalism, which, however, they're weaponized within the media. I feel especially in Europe and like in America, these movements are being energized. Do you feel the momentum will last? In regards to the EU, Guy Verhofstadt referred to his base of the movement as the summer of populism in quotation marks. But 2 years down the line, these governments are realizing there's a clear trajectory in the opposite, like against the status quo. How do you feel like the long-term prognosis is for these particular movements?
Well, at least the American media is doing everything they can to poison the term nationalism. Just like any idea, there's good nationalism and bad nationalism.
Yeah, I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German, everybody to look a different way. That's not, to me, that's not nationalism. So in thinking about how it could go bad down the line, I don't really have an issue with nationalism. I really don't. I think that it's okay. It's important to retain your country's identity and to make sure that what's happening here, which I think is incredibly worrisome in terms of the decrease in the birth rate that we're seeing in the UK, is what you kind of want to avoid. So I don't have anything I have no problems with nationalism. It's globalism that I try to avoid.
If Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, then that's fine. But the problem was that he wanted everyone speaking German. Well, the problem also was that he wanted to kill Jews and killed 6 million Jews and gay people and all sorts of others. How do you comment on Hitler? And your critique is that he went a little too far beyond nationalism to globalism.
Yeah, so in the current age, I feel like the political debate stems around nationalism and globalism.
Hitler was fine. Oh, Hitler's nationalism was fine. It's the problem was that he was trying to move the genocide outside of his own borders. If he just killed all the Jews within his own country, well, there would have been no issues. But he wanted to take a global. Once you try and take the genocide global, well, that's when you run into problems.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Ms. Owens said, quote, if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. So when people try to legitimize Adolf Hitler, does that feed into white nationalist ideology?
Would you like time to respond to that?
Yes, I think it's pretty apparent that Mr. Liu believes that black people are stupid and will not pursue the full 2-hour clip. And he purposefully he cut off, and you didn't hear the question that was asked of me. He's trying to present as if I was launching a defense of Hitler in Germany, when in fact, the question that was asked of me was pertaining to whether or not I believed that whether or not I believed in nationalism, and that nationalism was bad. And what I responded to was that I do not believe that we should be characterizing Hitler as a nationalist. He was a homicidal, psychopathic maniac that killed his own people. A nationalist would not kill their own people. That is exactly what I was referring to in the clip, and he purposely wanted to give you a cut-up similar to what they do to Donald Trump to create a different narrative. That was unbelievably dishonest, and he did not allow me to respond to it, which is worrisome and should tell you a lot about where people are today in terms of trying to drum up narratives. By the way, I would like to also add that I work for Prager University, which is run by an Orthodox Jew. Not a single Democrat showed up to the embassy opening in Jerusalem. I sat on a plane for 18 hours to make sure that I was there. I'm deeply offended by the insinuation of revealing that clip without the question that was asked of me.
If there was one thing about Adolf Hitler, big dreams.
I mean, that's a problem with our education system. We don't narrate him as a globalist.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah.
Well,
I love you, Ted Lieu. That is great.
That was amazing. He does a great job.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
That was just,
that was amazing.
He was a raging psychopathic killer who everyone got wrong, just like Donald Trump.
Right, he just gave nationalism a bad name, and actually not a bad name because he's a globalist. So I just rewrote history to fit my own narrative of the way that I want to live in this world, which is to get the paychecks.
The question that was asked of me was pertaining to whether or not I believed in nationalism and that nationalism was bad. And what I responded to was that I do not believe that we should be characterizing Hitler as a nationalist. He was a homicidal, psychopathic maniac that killed his own people. A nationalist would not kill their own people.